Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the privilege and honor of having Craig Goldenfarb, a PI lawyer from down in Palm Beach, Florida, where it's nice and warm, unlike where I'm at right now. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah. And so a lot of reasons I wanted Craig on this show. He's a very successful PI lawyer, and he's got a lot of knowledge about building a law firm, and I wanted to pick his brain today. So instead of giving his whole bio, I'm going to let Craig tell us your story, Craig. Tell us how you picked law and how you picked PI, and just tell us the whole story of how you got where you are now.
Sure. Thanks, Ken. I grew up on the west coast of Florida. So I had a mother who was an attorney back in the 1970s. And to have a female role model as an attorney is pretty cool for a young guy in the 1970s on the west coast of Florida. And she was a criminal defense attorney. And I watched her grow up being a ball-busting female, defending those who were accused of crimes. And she provided quite an inspiration for me. And she went to Harvard Law School, and she was one of the first, in fact, the first female law professor at Harvard Law in the 60s. So she taught with Alan Dershowitz back then, and who's now quite older. And my mom passed away a while ago. But she was quite an inspiration to me as a young kid. And I realized that I was a lot like her, so I went into law. And I do remember when I saw her argue in front of the Florida Supreme Court when I was 12 years old, that she gave the hand to one of the justices like that, which is before anybody gave the hand to anybody. And I realized my mom doesn't have a lot of people skills. Being a Harvard law woman, she had to be tough and hard. But I realized that what she didn't develop was some people skills. So as I grew up and decided to be a lawyer, I thought I'm going to enter into an area of law, and I'm going to really develop my personality so that I could rely not only upon my brain, but also being a nice person. So I really pride myself on that in my current PI firm, being inspired both in a positive and a negative way by my mom, Ken.
So have you always done PI law, or did you start, when did you start practicing law?
Well, I got out of law school in 1995, so it's been about 26 years. And strangely enough, in my efforts to be a good guy in law school at the University of Florida, I met my wife, who is still my wife. And I didn't know it at the time because she was in journalism school at the University of Florida. She was not in law school. I met her at a car wash, and I found out that her dad was a lawyer. So that was interesting. So I started dating her. And his name was Robert Rubenstein. He's my father-in-law. He's a PI lawyer in Miami, who you may know. And when I couldn't get a job out of law school, I relied upon the father of the girl I was dating. So he hired me in 1995 and brought me down to Miami. And he said, "How about personal injury?" And I said, "Well, I have no other options, Ken. So it looks like I'm going into personal injury." And I've been in personal injury for the last 26 years.
That's wild. So how long did you stay with him before you broke out and started your own firm?
Well, I was with him about 4 years or so, and he is such a wonderful mentor. And I encourage anybody who's listening to this that if you get someone offering to be your mentor, whether you're dating their daughter or you're not, accept it, because that is probably the best decision I ever made, is to accept his offering of a mentor. So for 4 years, he said, "I can give you to my trial lawyers and teach you how to be a trial lawyer, or I can give you to myself and help mentor you become a businessman, or both." And I chose both. And today I'm just CEO of my law firm. I haven't practiced law in 10 years. I haven't been in a courtroom in 10 years, but I have a law firm with 11 lawyers and 70 staff. And that's because he taught me how to be a lawyer first and then a businessman. So I got what I call a dual education. I got 2 tracks of education that have served me well for over 25 years.
That's really, I tell people, you took it to the ultimate, working on your business. you've been doing nothing but for the last 10 years working on your business. And I guarantee you those last 10 years, you probably had more growth than you did the years before.
Much greater growth. I mean, I've had my own firm for about 20 years. And when I stopped being a trial lawyer, that's when I started being 2 times, 3 times my prior year every single year. So when you can focus on your business instead of in your business, as they say in some of the coaching courses that I'm in, you will have exponential growth.
They're absolutely right. I was telling somebody on another podcast, when I finally got out of cases, I had to do it fighting and screaming because I thought I still had to practice law. I was a real lawyer, but that's not true. And you figured that out a lot quicker than I did. But my income like triple, quadruple. It was just amazing because I was more focused, on the vision and the growth and as you get bigger, and this, things get they don't get easier, really. It gets more complex.
It does, and I think it's wrapped up in our identity. Like, we're taught in law school that we're a profession, we're not a business, and that's a lot of people hold on to that we're special. And in fact, nobody's special. We're all special, right? So the specialness of us is how we treat others, in my opinion, not whether we're a doctor or a lawyer or somebody who gets paid a lot of money. So get rid of the I'm special thing and get rid of that I'm in a profession, not a business thing, because that's garbage. We're in a business that provides a valuable service. That's what we're in. And it's a very noble service, but it's still a business.
Absolutely. That's right. You got the people there got to eat. You got to feed the people there. You got to feed your family. So one thing that I really want to talk to you about today was culture, because what people tell me is that you create a culture that the client experience and you empower your employees. So I want to know what made you focus on culture, because a lot of lawyers think it's a bunch of hogwash. But what I've seen over the years is the law firms that are the most successful are the ones that really focus in on culture, creating a culture, and you're having really great employees. So tell me what got you thinking about that and how you've been able to execute that.
Well, the first part about culture is you have to realize that culture impacts turnover. Turnover impacts profit. So once you equate those things, that you realize that if you don't have a good culture, you're going to lose people. And if you lose people, you lose money. So for those who say it's a bunch of hogwash, you're ignoring all the studies that show what turnover costs you. And in addition, culture causes engagement of your staff. If you've got a good culture, they're going to work harder. They're not going to be on their cell phones. They're not going to be calling in sick. They're going to care about your mission. And when you're not looking, they're still going to be working. When COVID happens, they're still going to be working. When they're working from home, they're still going to be working if you have a good culture. My culture got better during COVID because we all came together in a unified mission to overcome COVID and the struggles that were created. I made more money during COVID than I did the year before. And that's because our culture was so amazing. And it starts in realizing that the first shift you have to make is that culture is hogwash. It's not. And it creates more money. It creates more profit. And it's the most valuable form of any business, or most valuable non-tangible asset you can have. So once you realize it makes you money, then the question is, well, what do you do about it? So what did I do about it? Well, I hired my first office administrator, or actually my 5th office administrator, who's now my current office administrator. I hired her from Disney World. She was head of HR at Disney World. Now, what company invented firm culture or company culture? Well, Disney World did. So what a great hire. I'm here in Florida. I was able to get someone who went through the Disney Institute of HR training, and she worked for Disney World. So she came in here and said, we got to fix your culture. We got to improve your culture by 1,000%. And her motto is that she wants to make this place the happiest law firm on earth, just like Disney World is the happiest place on earth, right? So, and she's done it in the last 10 years. She's Chief People Officer now. That's her job title, CPO, Chief People Officer. And her only job is to make our people happy. So if you focus on that and hire someone whose entire focus is not just HR and payroll and sick time and vacation time, but true employee engagement and satisfaction and happiness, which is different than an office manager. It's true engagement, true happiness, true purpose. You will make a ton of money and you'll have a happy place to work for yourself too.
So what kind of things has she done over the last 10 years, Craig?
Well, she has so many different programs set up for our employees that nobody else has. We have a smart dollar program. It's just a website where we provide free investment planners for our staff. It costs us only about $4,000 a year for the entire law firm, where they can go online and get free advice on how to get out of debt, how to manage their mortgage, how to manage their money, how to put money into a retirement account. That's free. And it's a program called Smart Dollar. That really shows that we care about them personally. We have a Dream Manager program based on a New York Times bestseller book called The Dream Manager, where they pick a bucket list item. Let's say it's going to England, and that's going to cost $5,000. Well, they payroll deduct $25 each week, and I match it up to $1,000. It's like a 401k match. So I'm their dream manager. I'm helping them complete an item on their bucket list.
I love that.
Now, you're not going to leave my firm if you're vested in my dream management program, because you're not going to get to go to England. So everybody in our firm has a dream, including me and including my leaders. So we're creating 70 bucket list checkoffs. So those are two examples, the Smart Dollar program, the Dream Manager program, of so many things we do for our staff that enable them to feel enriched and empowered and engaged. Dream Manager, Smart Dollar. We probably have 15 of those things, but I just named two, Ken.
Yeah, they're really great. In fact, I'm writing them down. That's how good it is. I knew you were going to be good, my friend. All right, good deal. So also, I was reading about your personal injury response unit. So can you talk to us about that?
Sure. Well, a while ago, we decided we certainly needed, before COVID, we needed a full-time law firm vehicle. So our sign-up guy could go around and sign up cases. So we have a full-time graphic designer in-house in our office for all our print ads and graphic design materials. So he decided we definitely want to wrap this car. You know how you wrap a car in your logo. So he designed the graphics to wrap the car, and we nicknamed the car the PIRU, Personal Injury Response Unit. And then, so that's one of our wrapped cars. And then we have a little Toyota 4x4 to carry around tents and other large things for the events we sponsor. So we have two vehicles, PIRU 1 and PIRU 2, the Personal Injury Response Unit. So it's like a driving billboard. So for those of you who think, you can get the write-off on a vehicle for your law firm, if you have the needs, I would encourage you to buy a vehicle and wrap it. It's like a free billboard. It costs about $3,000 to wrap the car, plus the cost of the car. And it's a business expense. So we have two vehicles currently. I know there are firms that have 10 vehicles, but we happen to have two.
And also understand that you were actually going remote before the pandemic, that you had that it was no big deal for you. You could, like, overnight, you were remote.
Yeah, well, I have such a wonderful ops team. I call operations my ops team. And when COVID hit, I panicked a little bit, and they told me to go home. That's how good my leadership team is. They said, go home. We got this. And they said, we'll be remote in 2 days. Give us 48 hours and then come back to work, go relax, have a drink, and come back in 48 hours and we'll be remote. And dagnabbit, 48 hours later, we had 70 people that had all the capabilities of working from home. It was just amazing. So we were already on our way towards working on work from home initiatives before COVID, but we were up and running and accepting cases 48 hours later.
So, I hear this a lot now. Some people don't want to come back. I mean, what's been your deal? You make them come back, or do you let them work remote if they still want to work remote?
We took it employee by employee. And the reason we did that is because everybody's situation is different. There are certain people who are introverts and they work well alone, and all they have at home is a cat, right? That's the type of person who, they've been with you 10 years, they're going to work. All they have is a cat. And then we have the people who have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old and a spouse that works from home, and they live in a disastrous neighborhood. That person can't work from home. They've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old and a spouse that works out of the house. So I don't think one answer fits all. I think you have to really care about your people and figure it out. We have lots of people that are in a hybrid situation that work 3 days and are at home 2 days, or 4 and 1 instead of 3 and 2. And it depends on the type of job as well. Our community services director, she's supposed to be out in the neighborhood making friends and talking to doctors and lawyers. She can't work from home. Of course not. So, the job description also is a factor. So any law firm who thinks one rule fits all is not really looking at their employees or their people.
What's your stand on, I'm seeing more and more law firms, because of this great resignation, and hopefully you didn't Sounds like you probably didn't get affected by it as much as most law firms.
None, zero.
Yeah, well, you're one of the actually you're the only law firm I've ever talked to in the last year that has not lost people.
Not one.
Well, that means that was a great hire from Disney.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
it was.
well, I'm seeing a lot more, and the wages are going up. I'm seeing more and more lawyers are starting to hire people from the Philippines, Ecuador, Mexico, remote people. What's your take on that?
Well, we've vetted a lot of companies because I go to a lot of seminars like you do, Ken, and there have been a lot of different vendors who have come forth and say they can do it. 2 points to that. One of them is unusual in that my office administrator, my chief people officer, actually does not want to offshore because she's big into America and wanting to have American employees. And I haven't actually heard that used by other law firms as a reason not to do it, because most lawyers are like, I need to save some money. So then I took that into consideration that she doesn't really want to do it. But we still vetted all these companies to find out how much money we were going to save. And we kind of did a risk benefit analysis. After you have to train them, after you have to get them established with the right internet connections in the Philippines and make sure you get the right company that you hire to do it, and with the fact that their turnover is always quite high, we didn't think it was worth the effort for the savings of money that it was going to give us, even at 70 people. And we thought, what tasks are we going to do? We have FileVine as a software. Should it be data entry? Should it be demand letters? Should it be gathering medical records? And when we looked at each of those processes and how much money it would or wouldn't save us, we did a real cost benefit of analysis, and over again, we've decided not to do it.
That's interesting. That's a different angle on it. It seems to be the big trend. I mean, that's the big, things catch on. I think I go to these events, I feel like I'm looking at my Netflix, what's trending now,
Right.
It becomes the fad, just like the social media is right now the big deal. Instagram, the videos,
Yep.
that seems to be the big deal right now.
Yep.
Everybody's talking about it.
Anytime something's a trend, I was at that seminar with you in Atlanta last week, Ken. I was there, and I'm going to invest in it because I don't think it's necessarily a fad or a trend. It might be, but even if it lasts a year or 5 years, is it worth developing an infrastructure that takes advantage of that trend? And in that particular case, I think the answer is yes. As far as offboarding or offshoring employees, I don't think the savings is worth the hassle. And I have an 8-figure law firm like you probably do. And to save $100,000 to me is not worth the effort and the negatives that come with offshoring or offboarding some of your work. $100,000 is a lot of money, and it is to me as well. But for what would be required of my law firm and how it would rob from our culture, it's not worth it to us. Our culture is here in my office.
No, I don't think it's a fad. I'm just saying that things do tend to get, trending. I guess maybe that's what word I was using for that. I think some of it is fads, but I think this is for real. Actually, I've been preaching this for 2 years, Craig, that YouTube videos and video is Pillman. We just commissioned a study, and the biggest deal was the people that are hiring lawyers, more likely to hire lawyers who advertise, are the ages between 20 and 50, and biggest deal they do is they're on social media on their phone, and they pay attention to it and they listen to it. So no, I think absolutely. I think it's. In fact, they're predicting. I don't know that I believe this, but they're predicting that 75% of all ad spends are going to be on digital by 2025. I think it might be 50-60%, but I don't think it's going to be 75. Still going to be a lot, though.
It's going to be a lot. Right now I've done TV for 20 years, and I'm keeping my spend relatively similar on TV, but I'm increasing my digital spend every year. So I'm kind of stagnant on my TV spend. My billboard spend goes up a little bit, but I'm trending. I'm trending towards social media when I increase my budget.
Well, I think that's a smart move. I really do. I think that's, like I said, I've been preaching that for 2 years. I think YouTube, I think Instagram, Facebook. I just think that it's different than when we started. Actually when I started, because you started a lot later than I did. I started in 82, my friend. I'm old. I'm a lot older than you. But it was, back when I started, you couldn't even do TV. It was just, it was like a few years later, But when I started advertising, it was Yellow Pages and TV. That was and grassroots, grassroots stuff. But as far as paid advertising, that was it. And it was a lot darn easier than it is now. Somebody trying to penetrate a market, it was so much easier.
Oh, yes. When I went on TV in my market here in Palm Beach County, in our demographic, it was six attorneys on TV, 6 firms. Now it's over 40. So that's 20 years later. So it's, six times multiplier, 7 times multiplier.
Yeah. And back then when you started, you didn't have 500 TV stations.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Or streaming, or all this stuff. All the different stuff. Good deal. So I was going to ask you that, but I think you already told me. So what do you see as the future for lawyers that want to advertise? I mean, what you've already told me, but have you got some special thing you like more than others in social media?
Well, I mean, I like I use FileVine, so we do a lot of pie charts and graphs, which is the good part about the modern software systems. So with my marketing pie chart, I don't want to have more than 25% in any portion of my marketing. So I will spend no more than 25% on one area of marketing. And that's a good way to be. So you're diversified, just like you're in your investment portfolio, you should be diversified. So 25% TV, for instance, 25% digital OTT, which is on the station's websites, 25% social, and then your expenditures on all of your local stuff like doctors, community marketing, sponsorships, events, which we do a ton of. So my point is that your pie chart should be varied and it should be diversified, just like your portfolio. And there are so many different methods of marketing, but the one I've done since the day I got out of law school, when I lecture a ton about marketing for PI law firms, the most number one thing that I've done from day one until today is I get 4 marketing lunches a week. I do not eat at my desk. I go out to lunch every day of the week, Monday through Thursday, with a repeat marketing referral source that I haven't had lunch with in a while, or a new one. And the 5th day, I go as an employee to lunch. That's my lunch plan. And I'll tell you, all 70 of my employees know everything about me, and I know everything about them. And that's another reason I don't have any turnover, because every Friday is employee lunch day. And I got 70 of them, so it takes me over a year to get through them. But you think they're going to quit if you know everything about little Johnny's baseball team, their son's baseball team, and you've sponsored that team? And they're thinking they get a call from a headhunter that they don't know. And you've sponsored their son's baseball team, and you know everything about their kids and their dogs and their mom and dad. You think they're going to take that call, or maybe they'll take that call and they won't accept it, or they won't accept that job offer. That's because you have treated them like a person, and you took them out to lunch within the last year and spent some time with them. So knowing your employees and then taking lunch is the best. It's like a lunch date. It's limited in time. It's not a happy hour. It's not a dinner, which can last all night. Your spouse is not going to get mad at you because it's just lunch. You got to get lunch. So it's not the happy hour dinner where your wife or husband's going to get mad at you. It's a defined marketing time, and you can do it 5 days a week, and it's free money. I call it free money. It costs you an hour and a half or an hour every day. And if you do that your entire career and do no other marketing, zero, all you do is lunches, you'll probably be a success.
Have you ever read that book, Never Eat Alone?
Of course. Where do you think that idea came from?
Yeah. I read that book, and I really tried to do that. I'm not going to say I did it 4 days a week, but I tried to do it 3 days a week. But yeah, that's smart, very smart. And you're right. It's all about relationships, right?
Yep. No trust. It's, they got to know you, they got to trust you, and they got to like you. So the only way to get someone to know you, trust you, and like you is go to a meal with them.
Yeah, breaking bread.
Breaking bread. Absolutely.
So, any advice you would give young lawyers out there that get ready to start a practice, or somebody that's kind of hit a plateau and they want to take their law firm to the next level? Any words of wisdom, Craig?
I think given the society we live in today, we're in such a collaborative society that we have Facebook groups, we have PILMA, we have mastermind groups, we have seminars. We have so many more of those now where people are helping other people that you can accelerate your growth 5 times what we used to be able to do in the 80s and 90s. I'm a member of about 10 masterminds right now, 10. I go to probably 10 seminars a year, 10. And the connections I make through all of those people that I'm in a mastermind with or a group with, they're all transparent. They're all people who like to give and share information, and they all refer each other cases. So I spend most of my time as a CEO traveling, speaking, coaching, and sharing. And between all of that, that's my job description right there. I'm business development. That's my whole job. And because my job is business development, and that's what I spend my time doing, my firm grows 10 to 20% every year.
Good deal. Well, we'll have to talk to you about maybe coming speaking at the next film event.
I'd love to.
Okay, good deal. All righty. Any other thing I should ask you, or anything you think is real important that I missed? Because I do tend to miss stuff once in a while.
That's okay. I do have something I'd like to mention as a resource. I mean, I talk about speaking and coaching. So there are a couple of resources that I've used that have been tools for me. I really love the coaching. I love your coaching, Ken, at PILMA. There's also Atticus, which is a good group in Orlando that does individual one-on-one coaching. And I've been a student in Atticus for 20 years. And I also coach their Personal Injury Practice Academy. I'm one of the coaches there for that. So if you go to the Atticus website, you'll see and be able to sign up for the Personal Injury Practice Academy. And we do deep dives on a concept for like 2 or 3 hours at our seminars. So for example, we'll cover compensation packages for staff and for lawyers for 3 hours. That's a deep dive, talking about incentive programs, bonuses, holidays, percentages, salaries, employment contracts, everything that has to do with paying people for 3 hours. So that's the type of stuff we do in the Personal Injury Practice Academy at Atticus. So the first tool I wanted to talk about is Atticus. The second is that I run a seminar called the Seven-Figure Attorney. It's got his own website, which is sevenfigureattorney.com. And it's the only seminar I know of in the country where one law firm, that's mine, has 3 of its C-level employees, the chief people officer, the chief marketing officer, and the CEO, transparently give you all of our secrets and our numbers about one law firm, just ours, to tell you how to grow and run a successful law firm. It's one day. It's April 7th, 2022 in New York. And the website, again, is sevenfigureattorney.com. It's $1,000. It's pretty cheap for one day. We do it a couple times a year, but it's the only as I said, it's the only seminar I know run by one law firm where 3 people talk from the same law firm about how to create a successful business. And I developed that about 10 years ago, and it's just gone gangbusters because you're looking under the hood of one successful law firm, and I share everything. I have an abundance mindset, which is if you share, it comes back to you. I'm not scared of someone stealing my stuff. I don't care. You can steal my stuff. So if anybody's interested in learning everything about my law firm, sevenfigureattorney.com.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. If people want to get up with you, but I guess they can go there to get up with you.
That's the best. Emailing me, it's pretty tough. Just trying to pick my brain, so to speak, pretty tough. But the best way is to, pay $1,000, go to New York, see a couple shows right afterwards. We did it on a Thursday on purpose, so you can bring your husband or wife and spend the weekend and see a couple Broadway shows. So we do that on purpose. We pick cities that are fun. So this year, April 7th, 2022, Knickerbocker Hotel in South Manhattan, if COVID allows us to do it. So you can hear everything about one law firm and everything about what I do.
Great. I think I might, if I could work it out, I want to go.
I'd love to have you there.
I just think, here's the deal. I think you never know it all. And I'm a continual learner. That's why I like doing these podcasts. I like asking people like you, because I learned something. You taught me 3 things today that I've never heard of Smart Dollar. I've heard of the book, but I never implemented that. I like both of those things, and I like the fact that you did an analysis on this remote, outsourcing people from other countries.
Yep.
I think that was my big 3 takeaways from the day. There's a lot more, but I thought that was the big 3 for me anyway.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in April. And
that would be great. And if you'd like me to talk on anything, including firm culture at PILMA, I'd be happy to consider it, man.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
Ken.
All right. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success. Thanks.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.